Let's pause here a moment. We'll drink a toast to human beings around the world and what makes them laugh. But first, a sip.
Hollywood has always been a place of fame and success, but for many black actors and entertainers, alcohol became a tough battle. The pressure of the industry and personal struggles often led to addiction, affecting their careers and lives. In this video, we'll look at 20 well-known figures whose lives were shaped by their struggles with alcohol. Number 20, Billie Holiday. With her exquisite vocals and unforgettable tunes like Strange Fruit and God Bless the Child, Billie Holiday, sometimes known as Lady Day, stunned listeners. She was really gifted, but her personal issues compromised her health and output. Billie had a difficult upbringing that profoundly influenced her. She was poor. She began managing her past challenges and the pressure of the music profession by drinking. Everyone knew she struggled with drinking, hence it began to affect her behavior and public image. Frequent drunken public arrests added to the bad preconceptions that black women working in the entertainment industry had to cope with. Drug-related charges at the height of her career cost Billie her cabaret license, therefore excluding her from performing in New York's venues. This was a major blow since she truly shone as an artist in these tight settings. Billie's drinking gravely jeopardized her health. She ruined her liver from years of frequent drinking, and it was too late when she sought help. Spending her days in a hospital bed under police observation, Billie displayed the issues she had had all her life. She left behind amazing music, but a life marked with suffering and addiction when she went away at just 44 years old. Next, we dive into Diana Ross's battle with alcohol and the toll it took on her career and personal life. Number 19, Diana Ross. Diana Ross, the famous lead singer of the Supremes, had a big impact on R&B and pop music. Known for popular songs like Stop, Ross became one of the most famous women in music history, with her songs Name of Love and Ain't No Mountain High Enough. Despite her successful job and shiny image, Ross struggled with drink and drug misuse, which affected her relationships and personal life. Ross began drinking during the peak of her work in the 1960s, as the stress from traveling a lot and being a celebrity became overwhelming for her. Ross began drinking booze to help manage the extreme stress from her job. Her issue with drinking became easier to see in her personal life, even though she continued to break records and perform in front of large crowds. Did Diana Ross's drinking ever have a big impact on her career? Did her artistic talent go beyond her own struggles? In the 1980s, people began to worry more about Ross's drinking because rumors about her strange behavior and issues during performances became more common. Alcohol is said to have caused issues in her marriage and relationships, leading to her being seen as difficult to get along with. Number 18, Red Foxx. Red Foxx, known as the King of Party Records, became famous for his role as Fred Sanford in the show Sanford and Son. Foxx changed how black comedians were portrayed on TV with his clever thinking, quick wit, and unique sense of humor. But his lively behavior hid important struggles with drinking issues and money problems. Foxx began drinking alcohol to deal with the huge stress that he was experiencing. Even though he was doing well, he had serious money problems because he wasn't managing his finances well and spent too much. Everyone knew about his regular drinking in his personal and work life, and there have been reports of Foxx drinking booze during performances as well, which sometimes affected his work and relationships in the entertainment industry. As time went on, the consequences of Foxx's drinking began to show. His businesses had setbacks, and his health began to decline. Foxx's reliance on alcohol also helped his reputation to deteriorate since viewers and colleagues noticed how it affected his performance at its best. Despite these challenges, Foxx is seen as a pioneer who paved the way for future black stars and significantly impacted comedy. What happens when fame and addiction collide? Well, let's turn to the tragic story of Dorothy Dandridge. Number 17, Dorothy Dandridge. Hollywood star Dorothy Dandridge challenged stereotypes for black actresses in the 1950s with her talent, beauty, and groundbreaking success. Dandridge symbolized hope and motivation as the first black woman nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actress for a role in Carmen Jones. Beneath the surface, there is a life filled with challenges, sorrow, and a battle with alcohol. Dandridge faced ongoing discrimination and limited opportunities in a field that was not fully supportive of black artists. She felt let down and discouraged because, despite her past wins, she was struggling to get important jobs that matched her skills. Her personal life was tough. She went through bad marriages, had money issues, and struggled to raise a daughter with a disability. These challenges led Dandridge to drink to escape her problems. Her drinking became more obvious as her career began to decline. She was once praised as a leader, but later faced criticism from the media, which harmed her image further. Dandridge's debt and lack of opportunities made her addiction worse, leading to loneliness and poor health. Dandridge sadly passed away in 1965 at 42 years old, leaving behind a legacy of talent overshadowed by struggles. Next, we explore the life of Sammy Davis Jr., whose dazzling career could not shield him from the burdens of addiction. Number 16, Sammy Davis Jr. Sammy Davis Jr. was one of the most versatile and loved entertainers of the 20th century. Davis, a member of the famous Rat Pack, impressed viewers with his acting, singing, dancing, and charming stage presence. Davis faced the challenges of fame, racism, and personal problems, even though he became very famous. He often relied on alcohol to cope, however. Davis faced challenges as a black performer in a mostly white industry. He experienced racism that affected him deeply, even as he performed in separate places and overcame racial barriers. He struggled with his mental health due to the constant pressure to prove himself and stay in the spotlight, which led him to drink for comfort. There are increasing reports of Davis arriving drunk to shows and drinking a lot backstage. His drinking hurt his ties with family and friends, as well as with other Rat Pack members outside of work. Although he was very talented and could keep performing, his health and energy were definitely affected by alcohol. Despite these difficulties, Davis remained a well-known figure, recognized as an exceptional entertainer and innovator. Next, we go into the life of Richard Pryor, a man whose achievements in art and activism were marred by personal battles with addiction. Number 15, Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor, one of the greatest comedians ever, was known for his honest style and willingness to tackle sensitive subjects. While he struggled with alcohol in his personal life, his talent shone through in films like Silver Streak and Stir Crazy. Turning to alcohol as a haven, Pryor started drinking to help with the stress of his violent upbringing and the demands of fame. As his fame took off, his drinking problems got worse. Pryor's wild behavior and drinking caused problems for directors and co-stars on movie sets. He had obvious challenges while filming some projects, and he often had to sit or lie down because he couldn't maintain his posture. These events hurt his reputation and overshadowed his skills. Pryor's personal life was just as chaotic outside of his performances. His drinking caused public meltdowns, aggressive behavior, and failed marriages. He once drank too much and jumped into shark-infested waters, showing his reckless and self-destructive habits. For years, Richard Pryor drank a lot even though doctors warned him that it was hurting his health. Even though he received help for his problem, his health was permanently damaged, and he died in Encino in 2005. Next, we look at Paul Robeson's tragic journey, where alcohol and addiction dimmed the light of an unparalleled superstar. Number 14, Paul Robeson. Paul Robeson was a talented man known for being an actor, singer, scholar, and civil rights activist. He was well respected around the world for his powerful voice and commitment to social justice. But Robeson started drinking to cope with ongoing political trouble and personal issues, which eventually caused him to lose his fitness. Robeson was closely watched and blacklisted mainly because of his political actions, particularly his strong stance against racism and colonialism. His mental health declined because of constant criticism, and he began to rely on alcohol to cope with the pressure. In the final years of his life, He appeared in public less often and had obvious problems with drinking. Political isolation and personal struggles led Robeson to leave public life. As his drinking got worse, his health dropped and he turned into a shell of a man who had once motivated millions. Despite these challenges, Robeson's legacy as an inspiring artist and leader in the fight for racial freedom is still strong. His struggles with drinking remind us of the serious personal toll that comes with fighting against ongoing opposition. Each of these stories that we've listened to so far show how fame, pressure, and addiction are connected, revealing the high price that many famous people in Hollywood pay. Next, we have Etta James. Number 13, Etta James. Etta James was famous for her amazing voice in songs like At Last and I'd Rather Go Blind. She was a strong influence in R&B, jazz, blues, and church music. She worked for many years, and her natural talent made her very well respected. James's success was overshadowed by her battles, though, with addiction, particularly with alcohol. Etta James struggled with personal issues, mainly because of booze, which led to many confusing actions throughout her life. As she gained fame, her drinking got worse, and it began to harm her relationships and work performance. Etta James was arrested several times for being drunk in public, and her unpredictable behavior began to concern her friends. Even though she was very talented, alcohol put her future at risk. Alcohol greatly harmed her health, especially her voice. Her addiction harmed the talent that made her so famous as a singer, known for her deep emotions and strong voice. She still left a lasting impact, though. In her later years, Etta James made a strong comeback, showing that although addiction affected her life, it did not determine her lasting influence. Her voice inspires generations of musicians today, and her place in music history is safe. As we turn to Miles Davis, let's see how addiction impacted another legendary musician. Number 12, Miles Davis. Miles Davis is considered one of the most important jazz musicians ever, with albums like Kind of Blue and Bitches Brew, proving his impact on music history. Davis was a famous and creative jazz musician who helped develop the genre. However, he faced personal struggles with alcohol and drugs throughout his life. In his youth, Davis began using drugs and booze, which quickly took over his life. His battle with addiction led to health issues and public fights, some of which were worrying. When Davis was enjoying success in his career during the 1970s, his personal life began to crumble. His public behavior while under the influence hurt his reputation and affected his work relationships. His ongoing addiction made it harder for him to connect with friends and partners in his later years. Miles Davis's creativity stayed strong even with these challenges, though. He is well known for his contributions to jazz, but it's clear that addiction affected his personal life, relationships, and music at times. Davis's struggles with drugs and drinking show the heavy toll that many talented individuals faced. Next, we look at the turbulent life of James Brown, whose battles with alcohol mirrored his chaotic lifestyle. Number 11, James Brown. James Brown, known as the Godfather of Soul, changed music forever with his work in funk, soul, and R&B. Songs like I Got You, I Feel Good, and Living in America became popular hits. James Brown's unique rhythms and exciting performances made him a famous artist. His addiction to drugs and drink greatly impacted his personal life and work, though. James Brown's struggles with drinking and drugs became more apparent over time. His drug and drink use caused him to act unpredictably, leading to legal issues and public scandals. Brown's image got worse in 1988 when he was involved in a car chase while drunk, which is likely his most infamous incident. His messy behavior included when he performed, as booze often affected his focus and energy. Addiction harmed his ties with family, friends, bandmates, and the media. Despite these challenges, Brown had a very successful career and made a clear influence on music. Even though his struggles with drugs and booze impacted his health and personal life, they didn't take away his brilliance. Brown's impact is complicated. He made significant contributions to music, but his struggles with addiction are also important to mention. Now, let's look at the struggles of Nina Simone, a brilliant artist whose personal demons became intertwined with her talent. Number 10, Nina Simone. Nina Simone was a famous singer and songwriter, known for her powerful singing and impactful songs like Mississippi Goddam and Feeling Good. She was also an activist. Even though she faced serious issues with alcohol and mental health, she made remarkable contributions to music and the civil rights struggle. At the beginning of her career, Simone had a hard time with drinking. The pressures of being a black woman in the music industry and her strong commitment to civil rights became too much for her to handle. She started drinking to cope with her pain because the ongoing stress and injustice drained her. This reliance on drink often caused unpredictable behavior, both on and off the stage. In her later years, she often had public fights, gave bad performances, and argued with other artists. Nina Simone's drinking affected how people viewed her and her performances, but it didn't take away from her clear ability or impact on music. Her impact on music history remains very strong. Simone's life shows how strong and creative someone can be, even when they are faced with personal challenges like addiction. Let's move on to Marvin Gaye, whose soulful legacy was tainted by his own struggles with addiction. Number 9, Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye is a true music star. Known for classic songs like What's Goin' On and Sexual Healing, he was one of the most influential figures in soul and R&B music. Millions of people were moved by his rich, soulful voice, and his songs frequently explored moving societal and personal subjects. But Marvin Gaye's personal life was turbulent, mostly because of his battles with alcohol and other drugs. At the start of his career, Marvin Gaye had a hard time with addiction. He often turned to drink to cope with the pressures of fame, family issues, and the challenges of the music industry. During the 1970s, his drinking fell into a spiral and started to affect his performances. Sometimes he acted unpredictably on stage, which worried both his friends and fans. Marvin Gaye's increasing use of drugs and alcohol was hurting his relationships, including his marriage and his connection with his record business. Gaye suffered from poor health as well and lost his talent while struggling with addiction. Alcohol turned into a harmful force in his life that led to his downfall. His early death in 1984, caused by his father, was a tragic end to a career that had a lot of potential. Gaye faced challenges, but people still celebrate his music today, and his voice continues to connect with new fans. Number 8, Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby, especially through The Bill Cosby Show, was a trailblazer for black stars on TV and represented what American parenting was all about. His funny and charming role as Dr. Cliff Huxtable made him famous, but his behavior off-screen eventually harmed his image. Cosby had a successful career, but his public image was ruined by his drinking problems and personal issues. Early in his work, Bill Cosby began to struggle with alcohol. He struggled to keep up his perfect father image, while also managing the pressures of being one of the few popular black actors in Hollywood at the time. He used alcohol as a way to escape and deal with what others expected from him and his own struggles. His struggle with addiction went beyond just alcohol. Later in his work, Cosby became famous for his problems, especially his difficult relationships with women. What was really going on behind Cosby's polished public image? Did alcohol cause his downfall, or was there something deeper going on? In later years, Cosby's behavior became more unpredictable. He often drank, which made his outbursts worse or affected his public appearances. He faced challenges in personal and work life, but his biggest downfall came from criminal charges. In 2018, Bill Cosby was found guilty of sexual assault, and many people began to question his character. Number 7, Aretha Franklin. Aretha Franklin, known as the Queen of Soul, left a unique and unforgettable impact. Known for her powerful voice, she became a symbol with songs like Respect and I Say a Little Prayer. Even Aretha's talent couldn't share her from the problems drinking caused her in her personal life. While alcohol wasn't the main focus of her work, it definitely influenced certain parts of her life. Franklin struggled with drinking due to both the pressures of her job and personal pain. She faced many challenges from a young age, including the pressures of being a black woman in a mostly white music industry and the struggles of not being there for her children. People often start using alcohol to help them deal with overwhelming expectations, and that was the case for Aretha. It also made her mood swings and unpredictable behavior worse, which sometimes showed during public events or shows. Was drinking just one part of Aretha Franklin's story? What other hidden factors influenced her personal and work problems? Aretha Franklin was one of the strongest sounds in music history. Despite her struggles with alcohol, she will be remembered for her positive impact on the music scene. Alcohol clearly impacted her personal life, though, and her relationships, and sometimes her acts. Number 6, Denzel Washington. Denzel Washington is considered one of the best actors of his age, thanks to his roles in movies like Training Day, Malcolm X, and Glory. Unlike many of his peers, Washington's story doesn't include public struggles with drinking and drug abuse that others in Hollywood seem to have faced. Washington is known as a skilled actor, a devoted family man, and a strong supporter of personal growth and discipline. From the start of his career, Washington was determined to avoid the mistakes that many artists had made. Washington stayed away from drinking and focused on his job and family, even though he became very famous in the 1980s and 1990s especially. Washington was more regimented because he relied on his faith and commitment to improving his life, unlike some of his friends who turned to alcohol to cope. How did Denzel Washington stay away from Hollywood's temptations? Is his success hidden in his disciplined way of life? Washington's story of success is unique compared to many others in the business world. While many performers let drugs and drink damage their careers, Denzel Washington's organized approach to life, work, and relationships allowed him to rise above the chaos often found in celebrity life. Number 5, Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston was a phenomenon, a singer and actress whose voice was regarded as one of the greatest in music history. From her iconic rendition of I Will Always Love You to her electrifying performance in The Bodyguard, Whitney's career was a showcase of extraordinary talent. Yet beneath the glitz and glamour lay a personal life plagued by addiction, including struggles with alcohol. Alcohol became part of Whitney's broader battle with substance abuse. As her career reached new heights, the pressures of fame and her tumultuous personal life began to take their toll. Public appearances started to reveal the effects of her addiction. Slurred speech, erratic behavior, and diminished vocal ability left fans and critics concerned. Despite these warning signs, Whitney found it difficult to break free from the grip of alcohol. Her personal relationships were also strained by her drinking. Her marriage to Bobby Brown, already turbulent, was further complicated by their shared struggles with substance abuse. Whitney's attempts at rehab were often short-lived, as she repeatedly relapsed into old habits. Tragically, her drinking combined with other substances contributed to her untimely death in 2012. Alcohol was found in her system when she was discovered in her hotel room, leaving fans worldwide heartbroken. Coming up, we examine the turbulent life of Quincy Jones, whose infamous drinking habits became legendary in Hollywood. Number 4, Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones has worked in music for many years and is one of the most influential people in its history. Jones is well known for his work as a director, writer, and arranger. He has worked with many famous artists, including Frank Sinatra and Michael Jackson. However, behind Jones's musical talent was a troubled side of his life, mainly affected by drug and drinking abuse. Early in his singing career, Jones began drinking because of personal issues and pressure from the industry. But alcohol didn't really take over his life until he became a producer for some of the most famous singers ever. Jones struggled with drinking in the 1970s and 1980s, which sometimes caused issues in public and affected his relationships. How did Quincy Jones overcome his addiction while still making timeless music? Did his personal struggles have nothing to do with his intelligence? Jones's drinking hurt his personal relationships, for sure, and he became known for his wild party lifestyle. Despite these challenges, Jones was still known as one of the most talented singers and producers. His strength is shown by his ability to create amazing works like Michael Jackson's Thriller. Number 3. Tupac Shakur. Tupac Shakur was more than just a rapper. He was an activist, poet, and an important cultural figure. Tupac was known for his bold songs and activism. His life was marked by struggles, violence, and personal challenges. Alcohol, along with other drugs, played a big role in his personal and work problems. At the beginning of his hip-hop career, Tupac turned to drink to help him cope with the struggles of his environment and the pressures of fame. Drinking too much became a way to deal with problems. His drinking got worse in the mid-1990s, leading to erratic behavior both on and off the stage. He was famous for often drinking and partying, which led to many public fights and court issues. Did Tupac's drinking help show his rebel personality, or was it just a way to cope with the challenges of his difficult life? Tupac's talent and influence on hip-hop are undeniable, despite his struggles with drinking. He was one of the greatest singers ever because he mixed strong emotion with great creativity. Still, booze and other drugs finally helped him to fall terribly. He died at the age of 25, and his struggles with drinking and other personal issues likely contributed to his early death. Number 2, Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, known as the King of Pop, changed the music industry with his groundbreaking records. Thriller and Bad, Michael Jackson struggled with booze and prescription drugs during his life, especially in his later years, but he was an exceptional singer, dancer, and entertainer. Jackson began drinking alcohol and using drugs in the 1980s, when his career was at its peak. To cope with the stress and loneliness of being very famous, he reportedly began drinking. Jackson began drinking more over time, and his use of prescription drugs made his mental and physical health worse. How did Michael Jackson's drug and drink use impact his famous performances? Did it change his career over time? By the time Jackson died in 2009, he was relying on both booze and prescription drugs, which contributed to his death. His musical successes are timeless, and he has a solid place in music history. For his fans, Jackson's struggle with drug addiction made him seem more relatable, even though he had personal issues. Number 1, Halle Berry. Halle Berry is a famous and popular actress known for her roles in X-Men and Monsters Ball. Berry has achieved a lot in her career, but she also faced personal struggles and had issues with alcohol at one time. Berry began drinking when she was young, and she drank more as her work started. To cope with her public image and personal problems, like failed marriages and intense media attention, she started drinking for comfort. Her drinking problem worsened in her 30s, and she even went to treatment to help with her addiction. Did drinking play a role in Halle Berry's personal life or affect her work life as well? Did she face any problems at work? Berry's drinking issues led to some embarrassing incidents, including unruly behavior on movie sets and at events. Berry worked hard and stayed committed to her job, which allowed her to continue succeeding even when she faced personal challenges. Many people feel inspired by her ability to overcome her alcohol addiction and find peace in her life. It shows that even very talented individuals like Halle Berry can face personal challenges and succeed. Thanks for watching. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content. Hit the bell icon and stay updated, and click on the next video popping up on your screen. See you next time.